The dungeon air hung cold and still beneath Hogwarts, thick with the smell of old stone and dying candlelight. Quirrell stood before the Mirror of Erised, the second face fused to the back of his skull, under his turban, whispering commands only he could hear. Harry stood a few feet away, chest still heaving from the chess match and the trials before it, watching the professor's wand hand tremble with something sharper than fear. "Dumbledore is returning to the castle," the voice hissed, low and urgent. "There is no time left for riddles or mirrors or games. End it now." Quirrell raised his wand toward the boy without hesitation. The curse struck fast and final, and Harry Potter, the child who had survived the killing curse once already as an infant, fell silent on the cold stone floor of the chamber. No scar had saved him this time. No mother's love stood between him and the spell. He was simply gone, and the chamber went quiet except for the hiss of torchlight and the ragged breathing of the man left standing. Quirrell turned back to the mirror alone. He stared into the glass, waiting for the stone to drop into his pocket the way the enchantment promised, rewarding only those who sought it without wanting to use it. But the reflection showed him nothing except the truth of what he had become. A hollow, desperate man who had wanted power long before Voldemort ever found him wandering, lost, in Albania. The stone never appeared. His reflection only stared back, ashamed and starving. "Break it," the voice commanded, sharper now. "Whatever magic binds this glass, tear it apart with your bare hands if you must." 3 curses cracked the mirror's surface, spider webbing gold and silver light across the dungeon walls. Beneath the shattered frame, wrapped in fading enchantments that sparked and dimmed like dying stars, the Philosopher's Stone sat exposed at last, blood red and pulsing like something alive, something aware of what it had just witnessed. Quirrell snatched it from the wreckage with trembling fingers, and for the first time in 10 years, the voice in his head sounded almost triumphant. "Drink," Voldemort ordered, and Quirrell uncorked the vial of elixir of life with shaking hands, the crimson liquid catching the torchlight like a warning. The transformation took less than a minute, though its consequences would stretch across the next decade and beyond. The withered face fused to the back of Quirrell's skull grew solid, then whole. Flesh spread where scar tissue had been. A spine straightened with an audible crack. Bone thickened beneath translucent skin turning slowly opaque. Fingers lengthened. A heartbeat began somewhere it hadn't beaten in a decade. By the time Quirrell's own body crumpled lifeless to the stone floor, drained of whatever life the stone's magic had borrowed to complete the ritual, Lord Voldemort no longer needed him at all. He rose to his full height alone, restored, standing on his own 2 feet inside the very castle that had once cast him out as a half-blood orphan named Tom Riddle. He did not linger over Harry's body. He did not gloat or savor the moment the way 10 years of exile might have earned him. He simply straightened his robes, tested the strength returning to his limbs, and turned toward the door, already thinking 3 steps ahead. Dumbledore reached the chamber only minutes later, wand raised, braced to find a frightened professor and a shaken boy waiting to be rescued. Instead he found a fully restored Dark Lord standing calmly over Harry's motionless body, and he understood in an instant that he had arrived too late by the smallest possible margin, a handful of minutes that would cost the wizarding world everything it had spent a decade believing was settled. He did not engage. A single wizard, however powerful, however feared, does not challenge a fully restored Voldemort alone inside a castle filled with hundreds of sleeping children. He sealed the corridor behind him with every ward he could summon in seconds, and retreated into the dark stairwell above, already calculating how many hours remained before the news reached every fireplace, every owl post office, every corner of magical Britain. By morning it had. The boy who lived had not lived at all, and the Dark Lord everyone believed destroyed 10 years earlier now walked free, whole, unscarred, and unstoppable. The Ministry of Magic, built on a decade of comfortable peace, had no answer ready. Auras trained for paperwork and petty theft, not war. A Wizengamot arguing procedure and jurisdiction while the most dangerous wizard in a generation quietly gathered his strength beneath their notice, rebuilding networks that had lain dormant but never truly broken. Deep beneath Hogwarts, in the wreckage of a shattered mirror and an empty vial, the last certainty anyone held onto crumbled with it. Voldemort had gotten exactly what he wanted, and he had gotten it on his very first try.